I saw a chicken cross the road this morning. Animals like that, chickens, cows, goats, they are everywhere. But it turns out there's some serious science going into the way livestock are raised. Some researchers are using livestock as a starting point to solve much bigger challenges, from improving nutrition and income to dealing with climate change and disease. So today on Science Unlocked, I want to figure out, 1, how can animals do more than just feed us? 2, what kind of science is happening behind the scenes to make livestock farming smarter and safer? 3, what does better life through livestock look like? But before we get into the science, let us talk about why this really matters. Livestock plays a much bigger role in Kenya's economy than most people realize. It contributes about 12% to the national GDP, and nearly half of the entire agricultural labor force works in the livestock sector. It also supports the livelihood of over 6 million pastoralists and agro-pastoralists, especially in areas where crop farming just isn't possible. But here is the catch. As demand for milk, meat, eggs keep climbing, farmers are feeling the squeeze. They are battling climate change, scarce resources, and recurring animal diseases. So it's not just about working harder, it's about working smarter. Now that's where the International Livestock Research Institute, or ILRI, steps in. Based right here in Nairobi, they are rethinking livestock systems, smarter breeding, better feed, healthier animals, and a sharper eye on the environmental impact. In short, they are helping farmers do more with what they already have safely and sustainably. Now, I want to see what that looks like in action, so let's go find out. Hi Bernard, it's so good to meet you. What am I expecting here today?
We expect to be dirty. Okay. We are going into the animals. And so you need to put on the overall.
Okay, I think we're ready to go now, right?
Yeah, let's go.
All right.
So here it's the ILRI Kapiti Research Station and Wildlife Conservancy, where we have animals, beef animals, as well as wildlife. So here we do several research activities looking at interactions between wildlife and livestock.
So what kind of animals are brought here?
Beef animals, the ones you are seeing here. We also have camels, which are being raised in the bush. We have goats and sheep, but of course we also have wildlife.
So what makes this facility so special?
Because we have both wildlife and livestock living together, grazing together. And it gives us an opportunity to study disease transmission from wildlife to livestock, but also sometimes from livestock to wildlife. And that's what we do as part of our normal research activity.
Can we go now and actually get our hands dirty?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, we should.
So what's one myth behind livestock that you think a lot of people get wrong?
Many people think that by feeding animals to the full, you actually make them productive. They don't realize that you actually need to feed them balanced diet, just like what we do for human nutrition. I have here 2 types of feed. One is silage that has been prepared from Napier grass. It has been cut when this crop was still very young. And so you can imagine it's still soft and it can be broken down easily as the animal munches and feeds on it. But at the same time, we have a different type of fibrous material which some farmers may use as feed for their animals. This is corn that has been harvested, it has been matured. When an animal feeds on this, it's quite tough and it requires it to really strain and struggle to feed on it. As a plant matures, it acquires some of the chemical properties which we call lignin, and that lignin really blocks an animal from accessing proteins. So this one, you can imagine the lignin proportion is quite high. The proteins and energy is less available to the animal compared to when you cut it when it's still small. At that point, it's quite useful to the animal. When it comes to the impact on environment and livestock production, a good feed like this, you will be able to achieve much more compared to this tough one. Because for the tough one, you will need to have a huge field of this feed for an animal to get satisfied. But for this one, you just need to provide a good amount for it, and you'll be able to satisfy the animal much more efficiently.
So what are the biggest problems you think livestock farmers are facing, and what is science doing to help that?
There are three main problems which farmers around here face. One is finding good feed, which is digestible. Secondly, there's a high incidence of livestock diseases. And third is finding markets so that they can actually sell their products productively. And so what we do in research is to develop new varieties for feed, which is highly digestible, develop vaccines to prevent diseases, and also understand how markets operate so that farmers can be linked into good markets for their production. Let me show you how we track health of the animals.
All right.
So we track the health of the animals first. As soon as they are born, you can see most of them, they have ear tags.
Yeah.
So that ear tag is really quite important in us taking records on a daily basis on its weight, feeding practice, its composture. So everything about that, we get information from the herders. We feed into the database. So whenever any of these animals is sick, we come and pick samples to confirm whether they are infected or not. And then in its own specific record in the computer, we feed that record against the number on the ear tag.
Are you able to breed animals that are resistant to diseases or better suited for climate change with this research that you have going on?
Here, yes, for diseases it is being done, especially for sheep. They are looking for resistance to parasites. But for other diseases, it's usually a bit complex. You need to study so many genes for you to find a combination of genes that gives you the results you need. For climate change, we haven't really done breeding for climate change, although we know heat stress is a major limiting factor.
So what would you say is the impact of livestock on the environment?
If you don't have enough stocking rate, you have overstocking, that you have many animals than what you need in that farm, they'll start overgrazing. And when overgrazing happens, your land is invaded by other species of shrubs and plants, which will damage the forage.
And what would be the solution to that?
The solution is to ensure that you have the right stocking density. You should actually get advice on how many animals you can stock in your farm. Otherwise, if you have too many, then you'll end up overgrazing and damaging your environment.
And are there like new technologies that you can use to maybe even track the health, or that just makes the job a bit easier?
For example, this gadget is being used to read electronic ear tags.
Okay.
All what you do is when you read, your messages will come and go to the computer showing the IDs of that specific animal.
Oh wow.
Yes.
Can we see how that is done?
Yes,
Okay.
let's try.
So how do you do that without spooking?
Yeah, you have to have it standing. Then you get close to it and press. All of them are moving
They're
away.
all
So
running.
maybe let's try one which can stand. Did you hear the noise?
Oh yes, I did.
It has read its number and it can be
Taking
registered
it to the system.
to the system.
Okay. So if you could make a futuristic device in animal tech, what would it be and why?
It could be a gadget which when you place on an animal, it can give you readings wherever that animal is. We have similar gadgets now, but the range of connection to the databases is quite limited. So hoping that in future we can have one that can help us capture these animals when they are much further afield.
I know that there's a lot of support from Germany for this project, but I want to understand, why is this important?
Because we get resources that we will then use to run the activities we have been discussing. Secondly, they also provide linkages with external scientists, and we have found that to be highly beneficial because we can then work with international experts. We also get opportunities to go out and discuss our research findings internationally. So those are opportunities which, this funding has really helped us.
Well, this has been very educative, also extremely terrifying, but we made it. There's a cow looking at me right now, so I'm just going to run. I don't know about Bernard. He's used to this life, so bye. Okay, that was definitely more science than I expected, but it makes sense. If animals are such a big part of how people live, then the way we raise them matters too. I did end up running away from a cow, but in my defense, he was really big. Anyways, I came, I saw, I'm not sure I can say I conquered, but I did try to keep up with the cows. So let's leave it at that. This is Science Unlocked. See you next time.